Is the Toronto Blue Jays front office playing four-dimensional chess right now, or are they simply hurling darts in a dimly lit room and hoping one finally hits the bullseye? That's the question hovering over Rogers Center like a low cloud that refuses to clear, because the sheer volume and variety of recent moves has left fans squinting at the bigger picture, trying to work out whether there's a grand design or just organized chaos disguised as ambition. Let's rewind and set the scene properly. This offseason hasn't been quiet, not even close. Toronto have piled arm upon arm into their pitching staff, adding Dylan Cease, Cody Ponce, Tyler Rogers, Jorge Alcala, Chase Lee, Nick Enright, and Josh Winkowski. 7 pitchers marching in like reinforcements to a battlefield that was already crowded. And just when you thought the door was shut, in slips Brendan Cellucci, a 27-year-old left-handed reliever with a resume that reads like a baseball nomad's diary, bouncing from the Red Sox system to AAA, AA, and even the Atlantic League. If you blinked, you probably missed the signing entirely, which tells you exactly how quietly this move was made. Yet buried moves often carry the most interesting clues. Cellucci isn't a headline grabber, but he represents something the Blue Jays have been hunting for like a mythological creature, a left-handed reliever who can miss bats. When Toronto's bullpen has stumbled in recent years, it's often been because it leaned too heavily to the right. Cellucci, at his best, doesn't just get outs, he overwhelms hitters. In the Atlantic League last season, he looked untouchable, carving through lineups with a sub-2 ERA, striking out nearly everyone in sight, and leaving opposing bats looking like they were swinging underwater. Of course, every intriguing story has a dark chapter, and Cellucci's is control. His command issues are not a footnote, they're a headline written in red ink. Walks have followed him like a bad habit, and there are outings where the strike zone seems to shrink the moment he steps on the mound. This is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward play, the kind of arm that can either become a cult hero or vanish quietly into organizational depth. The Blue Jays are clearly betting on their development staff to tame the chaos and turn raw electricity into something reliable. But Cellucci is only a brushstroke on a much larger canvas. The real intrigue comes from reports that Toronto are still circling Framber Valdez. Yes, that Framber Valdez, a proven, durable, left-handed starter who eats innings and ground balls for breakfast. On the surface, it makes very little sense. The Blue Jays' rotation is already more crowded than a rush-hour subway train. Kevin Gausman anchors the staff, Shane Bieber, when healthy, brings Cy Young pedigree, Dylan Cease adds power and volatility, Jose Barrios has been the dependable workhorse, Cody Ponce showed flashes, and Trey Yesavage is knocking loudly on the door. That's 6 names for 5 spots, and that's before even whispering about other possibilities. This is where the chessboard really starts to reveal itself. If Valdez enters the picture, logic dictates that someone exits. Suddenly, the Jose Barrios trade rumors feel less like idle speculation and more like a calculated possibility. The idea of moving Barrios, a pitcher defined by durability and consistency, would sting, but baseball isn't sentimental, it's strategic. A trade that brings back middle infield help and offensive balance could address one of Toronto's most glaring weaknesses while opening a rotation slot for either Valdez or a younger arm to step in. Valdez, if signed, wouldn't just be depth, he'd be insurance, stability, and a statement. Especially with Shane Bieber returning from Tommy John surgery, there's an unspoken anxiety humming beneath the surface. Rehab timelines are optimistic by nature, but elbows have a cruel sense of humor. In that context, adding Valdez starts to feel less like excess and more like foresight. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because this offseason story is far from finished. What we're witnessing here is a front office operating with multiple escape routes mapped out. Quiet depth signings, loud rotation reinforcements, and the willingness to explore uncomfortable trades all point to a sense of urgency that fans have been craving. This doesn't feel like a team content to sit back and hope. It feels like a team probing every weakness, every contingency, every possible upgrade. Still, ambition alone doesn't win championships. Execution does. The American League East is a minefield, stacked with aggressive rivals who won't apologize for spending or swinging big. The Yankees are reloaded, the Orioles are fearless and young, the Red Sox are no longer dormant. Even the Rays, perpetually underestimated, loom in the shadows. Toronto can't afford to simply collect arms and admire the depth chart. So here we are, at the edge of spring training, watching pieces shuffle and rumors swirl. If the Blue Jays pull off a major trade and land Valdez, this offseason could be remembered as a turning point. If Cellucci becomes a reliable left-handed weapon, it's a masterstroke hidden in plain sight. And if nothing else happens, Toronto still enters the season armed to the teeth on the mound. Now it's over to you. Do you see genius in this controlled chaos, or confusion masquerading as strategy? Should the Blue Jays cash in Barrios and push all their chips in, or trust the depth they've assembled? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because the next move might change everything.